Welcome to this online worship service of the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock. I'm Reverend Jaye Brooks, a member of the ministry team here, along with Reverend Jennifer Brower and Reverend Dr. Natalie Fenimore. The speakers in today's service are Worship Assistant Meg Cohen and a member of our Board of Trustees, Brian Millers. Today and each Sunday at noon, join the conversation at our virtual coffee hour. Newcomers are especially welcome. Today's service introduces our October worship theme, Deep Listening. One of the things we've discovered since the pandemic began is how important it is to our sense of community that we listen attentively to one another. During October, join in one of the 4 purpose conversations to listen deeply as we explore together the purpose of this congregation now and in the next few years. Things have changed. Let's talk about what our priorities should be. And today is the launch of our membership renewal drive and pledge campaign. Brian Millers has a few words to get us started.
The theme of this year's pledge campaign is Together. Coming together at this challenging time to commit to our community, renew our membership, and make a financial pledge. Together. 20 years ago this month, on a day very much like this, Rebecca and I were brought together in marriage at UUCSR. Together with the Reverend Paul Johnson and the congregation, we dedicated Josh, Annabelle, and then Harry at UUCSR. Together with the care of RE teachers, ministers, and staff, our children have grown and developed into caring and compassionate teenagers. Together with dear friends at Shelter Rock, we have built countless memories and supported each other through joys and sorrows. Together with many of you, we've served on committees, boards, and programs to fulfill a mission that expresses our values. Together, on my most recent birthday, March 8th of this year, we held our last in-person congregation meeting of Cafe Conversations, and I was filled with contentment as I looked out from the treasurer's seat on the dais to survey the members of UUCSR and cherish the relationships I have with each person I saw. Together, we are all weathering the storm of COVID-19, longing to see each other, to share in community under one roof, and come through as a strong and vibrant congregation to grow in our spiritual journey. Together with each of you, we're committing again to remain members of UUCSR and pledge with a financial gift of personal significance. This year, we're using the giving guide that's on the website to make a progressive gift at the visionary level. We ask you to join us. Thank you.
We may be physically distant to protect public health and the health of our beloved community, but even in these challenging times, we continue to create loving community together, encourage spiritual growth, and build a more just and joyful world. Pack nothing. Bring only your determination to serve and your willingness to be free. Do not hesitate to leave your old ways behind. Fear, silence, submission, Go into the wilderness and make a new way. Sing songs as you go and hold close together. It is the first of many beginnings.
We light this chalice of our religious heritage with these words from the UU minister, Reverend Rebecca Savage. I love the beauty and sparkle of spiritual communities. We dance together in the gentle unfolding of how we strive to be together. Needs arise, and beloveds appear to ask, how can I help? There's no fixed timeline, just the spiritual practices of generosity and stewardship.
Ever since the pandemic began, the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock has been taking a special collection each week to support the people who are most affected by the pandemic. The assistance goes to this local community's most vulnerable people. This week, the special collection supports the AIDS Center of Queens County. Shelter Rock has been assisting for some years now. Turkeys at Christmas and Thanksgiving, and other donations to support food aid to people who are deeply in need. We're starting a little earlier this year because the AIDS Center has told us how dire the need is right now. So we encourage everyone who's able to do so to share your resources by making a donation to our special collection, which will go to support the AIDS Center of Queens County, helping people with food, with housing, with legal assistance, with mental health care, and other forms of important support in this sad and challenging time. Please give as you are able. If you choose to donate through our website, on the home page, choose Donate from the menu bar, then Donate Now, and scroll down to Special Collection. And here's another invitation. If you're ready to renew your membership and make a pledge, or both, go to the website and on the home page, choose Pledge from the menu bar. Select one of the options that works for you. And remember, we're all in this together.
rows and flows of angel hair, and ice cream castles in the air, and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and they snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in the way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's clouds' illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way that you feel, and every fairy tale comes true. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. You leave 'em laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions I recall. I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds. I've looked at life that way, but now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads and they say that I've changed. Well, something's lost and something's gained in living every day. I've looked at love from both sides now, from a win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life at all. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's life's illusions that I recall. I really don't know
Lately, it seems that so much of our world, the here and now, is more topsy-turvy than usual. It's a human spiritual need to want to make sense out of the events of our lives. We not only want but need life's unexpected changes to have deeper meaning. If not a perfect ending or poems that rhyme, we would at least appreciate a clear beginning, middle, and end every once in a while. It's much harder to treat daily ambiguities as adventures we should face with excitement, especially as big changes seem to have a way of raining down all at once. The longer I live, the more I am taught the same lesson over and over by wildly different circumstances. The more I expect the unexpected, the more I roll with the punches of life's tragedies and revel in life's joys and victories. The more I give in to the reality that I am not as in charge of and cannot plan as much of this life as I would like, the more I can fully experience and even come to enjoy the deliciousness of my journey's ambiguity.
I am a steward of hope. So often we can slip easily into conversations and endless news cycles that focus on dire calamity. And we feel overwhelmed, crushed, dispirited. Yes, there is much wrong with our world, and so much has already been lost. The yes and endures, though. We do have time to make changes today. We do have time to practice courageous love today. We do have time to revolutionize how we live out our faith today. This is how I serve as a steward of hope, by remembering and reminding others with a wink and a smile that today can be for the good. One breath at a time, one act of love and forgiveness at a time, one act of defiance and change at a time. The prayer of my heart is that hope gives rise to insight, which gives rise to action for the good of us all.
Going to sleep at night is hard to do. I just stay awake, I know you do too. Curl up in my bed and watch the moon, and the world stays blue. Flowers in the garden are in bloom. Soon it will be smelling like perfume. Lay in my backyard till it's June, so the world ain't so blue. Well, blue might be bad, it's the color of sad, but it's also the color of the sky. In summer, blue might make you think, make you spill your drink, but it can't hold you back from a laugh. Blue. Sometimes it's hard to just relax. Close your eyes or take a nap. Feels like at any time you could crack, and the world feels blue. Getting used to changes takes time. Sometimes it makes you lose your mind. Take a little trip outside, so the world doesn't seem so blue. Well, blue might be bad, it's the color of sad, but it's also the color of the sky. In summer, blue might make you think, make you spill your drink, but it can't hold you back from a laugh. Blue. Well, blue might be bad, it's the color of sad, but it's also the color of the sky. In summer, blue might make you think, drink, but it can't hold you back from a life blue.
When I was a child, I loved to lie down on the grass and look up at the sky and watch the clouds go sailing across and see the different shapes there. My friends and I loved to lie down and compare what we saw. Sometimes we saw things quite different from what each other saw. Sometimes we couldn't even begin to understand how one of us could see a giraffe, a dragon, a dog. When I was a teen, I had a room with a view to the west, and I could look out my window and watch the sunset. And when the sun was low in the sky, the clouds seemed to form the shape of a mountain, and the sun shining underneath them seemed to show a river that I must cross if I ever wanted to get to the land where the mountain was. By whatever precept of weather or climate, this vision of a far-off mountain, this magical land across the sunset river, formed again and again until I began to expect to see it there. And that vision shaped my expectations of what I might discover in life, of what I might do, of the adventures that might await. Those clouds shaped my perspective of the world. The word perspective emerged in the late 1300s. It came from the idea of looking through a telescope to see things that are far away. The word originates from the Latin perspicere, per meaning through, and spicere, to look at. During the 1500s, the word perspective gained a new meaning in the world of art. Artists had discovered how to draw objects to give them the appearance of distance and depth. This new technique was called perspective. It's easy to understand how the idea of using a telescope to see a faraway object would translate into the art of drawing an object so that it looks far away. And then there's that third meaning of perspective, as the word is used today, a single point of view in a world with many different points of view. The original meaning of perspective referred specifically to the idea of looking at something far away through lenses separated by a long tube. A single perspective is truly singular. It's a view that shuts out peripheral vision and confines the eye to a single point in the distance. Tunnel vision. Each one of us sees and understands events as if we're peering at them through our own unique telescope, limited in our field of view to the interpretation urged upon us by all of our life experience, family, culture, friends, education, travel, and language. Perspective, the way we see, is influenced by the way we listen or not, by the way we hear or not, by the way we seek to understand others or not. Differing perspectives are at the heart of the most painful public debates of our time. In the 13th century, the Sufi Muslim poet Rumi took an old story about perspective and made it into a poem. He called it Elephant in the Dark. Here it is. Some Hindus have an elephant to show. No one here has ever seen an elephant. They bring it at night to a dark room. One by one, we go in the dark and we come out saying how we experience the animal. One of us happens to touch the trunk, a water pipe kind of creature. Another, the ear, a very strong back and forth fan animal. Another, the leg. I find it still like a column on a temple. Another touches the curved back, a leathery throne. Another, the cleverest, feels the tusk, a rounded sword made of porcelain. He is proud of his description. Each of us touches one place and understands the whole that way. The palm and the fingers feeling in the dark are how the senses explore the reality of the elephant. If each of us held a candle there, and if we went in together, we could see it. It's not just Rumi's elephant there in the dark. All the different people who touch the elephant are in the dark too, as people so often are. People who see events from only one perspective are limited by that perspective. Perspective, what people read, their social media connections, where they get their news. Their perspective shapes their understanding of facts, of truth. When the Inquisition challenged Galileo to take back what he said about seeing the moons of Jupiter and what it might mean, he offered to let the inquisitors look through his telescope, but they would not. This is an important point to remember about perspective. It's possible to remain uninfluenced by other perspectives, just refuse to look. In Unitarian Universalism, we have a tradition of truth-seeking. One of our 7 principles is that we affirm a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And in that search, we aspire to engage in creative interchange with others who have different perspectives. Creative interchange informs and broadens our perspective. So I guess I would jump at the chance to look through Galileo's telescope. I would learn. I'd see the universe from a different perspective. But how would I talk with the Inquisition about what I saw? The challenge we Unitarian Universalists face when urging our views and values on the world is to recognize that the public policy discussions we have today are not reasoned debates about facts. We're in a debate about perspective, about point of view. If I tell people the facts, it doesn't change anyone's mind. People embrace as facts only the information that resonates with their perspective. So what can I do? How can I get the inquisitors to look through Galileo's telescope? First, they have to trust me enough to look. So I have to build trust with the inquisitors. Oh, well, that's easy. I think about this challenge whenever I hear someone, especially someone in my own family, say something that to me echoes with a kind of heartlessness when, from my perspective, what's needed is compassion, empathy. So here's where I am on the issue of perspective. I don't throw facts at people anymore. I ask to hear their stories. What has happened in their lives that has led them to their point of view? It's educational. Sometimes they ask me the same question, and I tell my story. I may never know whether my story adjusts their perspective, but maybe it touches their heart. Maybe they trust me a little more. And that's a place to start. When I was a child with my friends, lying down in the grass, looking up at the sky and the clouds, we didn't always see the same animal, but we looked, and we listened to one another describe what we saw. We tried really hard to understand the clouds from someone else's perspective. People today seem so walled off from one another, and often, too often, alone in the dark. If only we each had a candle, and if only we would dare to go with one another into one room, then perhaps, we might find the truth together. Yes, these are difficult times, but you are not alone, and the world needs you. Go, be, love. Now we extinguish the flame of our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into all the world. Blessed be.